The day Ozzy Osbourne passed away changed everything for Sharon. The moment the news spread, her world shattered into pieces she could not put back together. At his funeral, as the crowd chanted his name in love and remembrance, Sharon broke down, in a way that left everyone around her frightened. The grief was too heavy to carry. She fainted beside his coffin, her body unable to take the strain, and had to be rushed to the hospital. That single moment revealed just how deep her heartbreak had cut, and it became the beginning of a long and uncertain battle for her health and her will to live. Doctors revealed that Sharon's chances of survival were barely 40%. The shock of losing her husband so suddenly had pushed her body into a dangerous state. She stopped eating, barely drank water, and her energy was drained. More troubling than her physical state was her mind. She seemed to have collapsed completely. Without intervention, the doctors feared she might not recover at all. Sharon was not simply grieving, she was fighting for her life. For years, Sharon Osbourne had been known as a tough, determined woman. She had built her life on resilience, managing her husband's career, caring for her children, and standing tall through countless personal and professional storms. She was the anchor of her family, always the one to hold everyone together when things got hard. But the sudden loss of Ozzy was too much. Even for her dad at the funeral, the pain became unbearable. Witnesses recalled how she tried her best to remain calm as she stood beside the coffin. Surrounded by family and friends, she looked fragile. But still, no one expected what would happen next. In an instant, her legs gave way. She collapsed to the floor, unconscious, and the people around her panicked. Medical staff rushed in, lifting her carefully, and she was carried away while the ceremony was still underway. In the hospital, doctors explained that Sharon had suffered from extreme exhaustion. Her body was weak, dehydrated, and deprived of essential nutrients. Her condition was complicated by stress, sleeplessness, and shock. She was slipping into a dangerous cycle where both her body and mind were failing together. The hospital's report painted a worrying picture. Sharon was not eating properly, she wasn't resting, and her body was shutting down. Her blood pressure was unstable, her heart was under stress, and her immune system was deteriorating. The trauma of losing her husband had set off a chain reaction. She was emotionally broken, and her body followed. Doctors warned that she was at risk of heart complications, including irregular rhythms that could become life-threatening. She also suffered from severe insomnia. Even when she closed her eyes, her mind would not allow her to rest. Instead, she replayed memories of Ozzy over and over again, sinking deeper into despair. Psychologists described her condition as severe depression combined with chronic stress. She showed no interest in daily activities, avoided conversation, and refused to engage with those who loved her. She seemed locked inside her own mind, consumed by memories of her husband. Her daughter, Kelly, shared that Sharon often sat in silence, staring blankly, lost in thought. She would cry softly to herself, sometimes for hours. The vibrant woman, who had once been the driving force of the Osbourne family, was now barely able to function. Food, once something she enjoyed with her family, no longer mattered to Sharon. Even when urged to eat, she refused, saying she wasn't hungry. Days went by when she had little more than a few bites, leaving her weaker and more fragile. Kelly explained that even Sharon's favorite meals could not tempt her. It was as if life itself no longer appealed to her. Doctors had no choice but to begin intravenous feeding, giving her fluids and nutrients directly into her bloodstream. Without this, her health would have collapsed entirely. Still, even with medical care, her refusal to cooperate made her recovery harder. Psychologists tried to work with her, offering therapy and medications to help balance her mood. But Sharon resisted. She did not want to talk, did not want to open up, and did not want to take the medicine that might ease her pain. It seemed that she had chosen to live inside her grief rather than fight against it. Her children, however, refused to give up. Kelly and Jack stayed by her side, speaking softly, encouraging her, and reminding her of how much she still meant to them. They hoped that with time, their presence would help her find a reason to keep going. Yet even there, love could not always break through the wall of sadness that surrounded her. The grief Sharon felt went far beyond the loss of a husband. She and Ozzy shared more than a romantic relationship. They shared a life built on both love and work. They had been each other's companions, advisors, and collaborators for decades. Sharon wasn't just his wife, she was his manager, his guide, and the person who helped him survive his darkest struggles. Ozzy often described Sharon as his savior. She stood by him through addiction, personal crises, and career challenges. Their relationship wasn't always easy, but it was strong, built on loyalty and deep affection. They had weathered countless storms together and built a family filled with love and laughter. When Ozzy spoke of Sharon, he spoke with admiration. He knew she was the one person who truly understood him, the one who accepted his flaws, his wild side, and his mistakes. Their love was more than just passion. It was a partnership that carried them through life's toughest trials. This is why his death left Sharon feeling like part of her soul had been torn away. She didn't just lose a husband, she lost her best friend, her partner in work, and the person she relied on for everything. The silence in her home echoed with his absence, and the emptiness inside her heart seemed impossible to fill. The couple had shared more than just a marriage. They had shared a legacy, from iconic albums to their reality TV show, The Osbournes. Their names had become part of music and pop culture history. They built their careers and their family together, supporting each other every step of the way. For Sharon, Ozzy's death wasn't only a personal tragedy. It was also the loss of a collaborator who had shaped her life's work. The projects, the plans, the dreams they had built together now seemed meaningless without him. To her, it felt like everything they had achieved was suddenly incomplete. Her grief was not only about losing the man she loved, but also about losing the life they had created side by side. Every corner of her home reminded her of him. Every memory brought back joy mixed with unbearable pain. The future seemed empty, and she could not imagine moving forward without him. While Sharon struggled with her loss, her children were also broken by their father's passing. Jack and Kelly Osbourne were deeply attached to Ozzy. To them, he was more than just a father, he was a guide, a friend, and a source of strength. Kelly admitted that she could not imagine life without him. She described him as her protector, someone who always lifted her up when she was struggling. Losing him felt like losing a part of herself. She not only lost a parent, but also a confidant who had been there through her toughest battles. Jack felt the pain just as deeply. His bond with his father was strong, built on years of working together and overcoming challenges. Ozzy had been there to help Jack cope with multiple sclerosis, giving him strength when he needed it most. Now, without his father, Jack felt adrift, unsure of how to carry on. But what hurt both children even more was watching their mother fall apart. Sharon had always been the pillar of their family. She was the one who held everything together. Seeing her collapse physically and emotionally left them feeling powerless. They wanted to help her, but she closed herself off, lost in her grief. Jack admitted in an interview that watching his mother suffer was one of the hardest experiences of his life. He said it felt unbearable to see Sharon unable to move forward, to see her life stop the moment Ozzy's ended. Today, Sharon's future remains uncertain. She is surrounded by love from her children, but her recovery is slow and filled with setbacks. Doctors continue to monitor her condition, warning that without consistent treatment, she remains at risk. What stands clear is that Sharon is living through a battle unlike any she has faced before. The woman who once showed so much strength is now fragile, caught in the darkest chapter of her life. Her grief has left scars not only on her heart, but also on her health, and healing will take more than time. Losing Ozzy was not simply the end of a marriage, it was the end of a shared life, a partnership that defined Sharon's world. Without him, she feels incomplete. The love they had was deep and rare, the kind of bond that cannot be easily replaced or forgotten. For Sharon, every day is now a struggle to find meaning. For her children, every day is a struggle to hold their family together. And for those who knew and loved Ozzy, his absence is felt like a shadow that lingers over their lives. What the future holds for Sharon remains unknown. But one thing is certain: her grief is a reminder of how deeply people can love, and how devastating it is when that love is torn away. Sharon understood, deep down, that her motherly strength alone would not be enough to help her move through the pain of losing Ozzy. She knew this kind of grief could not be rushed, and no amount of comfort from friends or family could instantly heal the wound in her heart. Time was the only thing that could slowly ease her sorrow. The feeling of emptiness did not belong to Sharon alone, it spread throughout her entire family. Jack and Kelly, her children, felt the difference in their home immediately. The warmth that once filled every room seemed to fade, replaced by a heavy silence. It was as though an invisible emptiness hung in the air, reminding them of what they had lost. The house that Sharon and Ozzy had built together no longer carried the same life. For Jack and Kelly, watching their mother crumble under such deep sadness was almost unbearable. They wanted to help her, to lift her up, but they also realized that no matter how hard they tried, Sharon's grief was something she would have to face herself. Her path toward healing would not be easy or quick. It would be a long and painful journey. During these dark times, Sharon leaned not only on her children, but also on the kindness of close friends like Paris Hilton and Christina Aguilera. They gave her comfort and helped share some of the heavy burden weighing on her. They reminded her that she was not alone, and their presence offered small moments of relief. Still, even with their love and encouragement, nothing could fill the enormous gap Ozzy had left behind. Their marriage was not just about love, it was a true partnership built through years of work, sacrifice, and triumph. Ozzy was not just Sharon's husband. He was her partner in life, her anchor, and her closest ally. For her, the idea of finding peace in someone else's words or company felt nearly impossible. Jack and Kelly tried to stay strong for their mother, but they too were grieving. The absence of Ozzy wasn't only a loss to Sharon, it was a loss that permanently reshaped the entire family. Every argument, every moment of silence, every attempt to comfort one another only reminded them of how powerless they felt without him. Sharon's heartbreak became their heartbreak, and though they all carried it together, only Sharon could truly face the storm within herself. When Ozzy Osbourne passed away, Sharon lost far more than a husband. She lost the person who had walked with her through every stage of life, the good times, the struggles, the victories, and the failures. Together, they had built more than a marriage. They had created a powerful legacy in the music industry. From Ozzy's legendary career with Black Sabbath to the reality television show The Osbournes, they had built a family empire that touched millions of people. Few couples in the world could claim to have achieved so much side by side. But now, Sharon was left with a new challenge, carrying on that legacy alone. The wealth, the business, the music, and the family name, these were not just parts of their past, but responsibilities for the future. Sharon had always been at Ozzy's side, managing his career, organizing tour, arranging contracts, and handling television projects. She was not just his wife, she was his manager, his advisor, and the one who kept the family business alive. Without him, the weight of all these responsibilities now rested solely on her shoulders. The Osbourne family empire was more than music. It included television projects, commercial ventures, and even the careers of their children, Jack and Kelly. Sharon had to ensure that everything continued to run smoothly, even while she struggled with her grief. She knew she could not let the empire they built collapse. To her, managing their business was more than just a duty, it was a tribute to Ozzy. Keeping his legacy alive was her way of honoring his life and everything they had achieved together. Every day, Sharon reminded herself of the values she and Ozzy had lived by: dedication, strength, love, and loyalty. She carried these lessons with her as she worked to protect their family name. Despite her pain, She continued to manage contracts, guide her children's careers, and protect the family brand. Though she faced enormous pressure, Sharon's intelligence and experience in the industry gave her the strength to keep going. Beyond the financial legacy, Ozzy also left behind something even more meaningful: the values and memories that shaped their family. Sharon remembered the long nights spent planning tour, the joy of creating music, and the laughter they shared behind the scenes. These memories were not just moments from the past, they were reminders of the bond that could never be broken. They gave Sharon strength on her darkest days. Ozzy's lessons of perseverance and unconditional love stayed with her. Sharon often said that no matter how difficult life became, she and Ozzy always faced challenges together. Now, even in his absence, she held onto that truth. His legacy was not just about fame or money, it was about family, love, and the life they had built. Sharon promised herself she would never let that legacy fade. Though her world had changed forever, Sharon continued to move forward. She could not erase the pain, and she could not fill the empty space Ozzy left behind, but she could learn to live with it. She continued managing the family's business, protecting the music, television projects, and everything they had created over the decades. She refused to let her grief destroy the foundation they had worked so hard to build. Her children, Jack and Kelly, stood beside her, supporting her as she supported them. Each of them carried their grief in different ways, but they knew that by staying united, they could survive the storm together. They leaned on one another, shared memories of their father, and reminded each other that even though life would never be the same, it was still worth living. Sharon became more than just a grieving wife. She became the pillar of her family, the one who brought warmth and light into their home even in the darkest times. She tried to create an atmosphere of love and stability for her children, reminding them that despite their loss, they still had each other. The future would not erase the past, but with time, it could bring new hope. For Sharon, Ozzy would never be replaced. His memory lived in every decision she made, every story she told, and every project she continued in his name. Though life would never return to what it once was, Sharon understood that it must continue. She could honor Ozzy best by living, by carrying his legacy, and by building new memories with her family. She spoke of him often, with gratitude and love, remembering the life they had built together. Their struggles, their victories, and even their hardships formed the foundation of her strength. This strength kept her moving forward when everything inside her wanted to stop. In the end, Sharon Osbourne emerged not just as the wife of a rock legend, but as a strong woman who proved that even after devastating loss, life goes on. She carried both the burden and the blessing of Ozzy's legacy, not just for herself, but for her children and for the family name they had built together. Though the pain never fully disappeared, Sharon chose to keep going, to protect what they had created, and to face the future with courage. Through grief, she discovered resilience. Through loss, she found purpose. And through love, she found the strength to honor Ozzy forever.